Sheila was never one to push herself on people with ideas or try to take the limelight, but she was no fool when it came to analyzing and understanding which people were real, which people were not, whom she trusted, who she did not, in her opinions. She was, obviously her focus in her life was always her family, her husband, her children, and she made that at the center. But she was also a businesswoman. She helped Sugu build a business. They worked as partners. She was involved in just every aspect of his business and community life. Her own contributions in community life were extensive. Many times when I would be with her, I remember one time in particular, we were sitting in my office in Toronto. Sheila was helping us with our financial report for the after the election, and the association had to render their report, and she's going through, and what would be very difficult for her, any one of us, or certainly for me, because math wasn't my greatest thing. Sheila was very inquisitive and asking the questions about some things that she wanted to know, but she did it in such a way that you felt you were not obliged to answer, but it was an honor to have her there. She was someone who made a big difference in my life. Her family made a huge difference in my life. They became part of my family. They became part of my profession, what I did for a living. They were part of every aspect of my life. Sugu and Sheila and Sanjay, and I think Sanjay and Sophie were introduced to politics a little bit soon, but also community contribution. Both Sheila and Sugu introduced us the children to the importance of contributing and giving back to community very early on. I remember going on a walk of a fundraiser for the hospital in Scarborough with Sheila and I chatting and catching up as we walked behind the children who were walking ahead, and they were the ones collecting the money, not us. We were just kind of going along for the ride that day, and it was quite a successful day, if I recall, beautiful, sunny, great talks along the way. Their contribution to my life, and continues to this day, enriched me and to some degree influenced who I am and became along the way and how I did my work. I will miss her dearly. She was someone who, in her quiet, very determined, very with a lot of strength, became a part of you when and she elicited respect back, not demanded it, but you knew in her own way that this is, and she always got that respect from people because you knew that she was genuine, you knew there was never any veiled meaning, there was never any hidden meaning. When Sheila said something, it was very honest, very forthright, very direct, without any hesitation, and I always appreciated that from her more than anything else. This is kind of a difficult thing for me to do, for a number of reasons. A, because Sheila is, as I said, I miss her and loved her. Also because my own sister is in Sheila's situation, where Sheila was. My baby sister is also extremely with early stages of Alzheimer's, was diagnosed very, very early as well. I'm spending some time with her during the week now, twice a week, to try and help the family out. And this is a disease that does horrible, horrible damage to the individual who is suffering, but does so much, brings so much pain and suffering to the family. Today is Sheila's day, and I want to honor her to the nth degree. But I also want to say to Sugu and to Sophia and Sanjay that I know that what you did for Sheila in the last so many years was absolutely exemplary. I know that how difficult life was for you, how painful it was. And it is important that you also be recognized for your contribution. I'm so glad. Anyway, I want to make sure that we do not forget, most and foremost, what Sheila stood for. The love of family, love of community, love of country, the respect she had for people around her, the big heart she had to contribute to community, to this country, and to leave behind the world in a much better place than she found it. That, I think, is something that we all need to remember her for. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mariamina. That's a very touching story. Next, I would like to invite former Deputy Premier and Health Minister, Honorable George Simidaman, to share some words.
Monica, Sugu and Sanjay, I was caught a little bit by, I don't make public speeches anymore. I'm not a dignitary. I'm just a person who spent a lot of time in politics, and because of it, came to know the most extraordinary array of people. And I tell anybody that will listen that talking about politics, I tell them that if it's done right, it's about community and family. And there is no, in my life in politics, no really better, more emblematic display of that than Sugu. And it struck me that this man's name, Sugu, taken from his last name, is really also just a further example of this closeness of community and the love of family. And that is the best part about politics, for all of the bad sides and all the constraints of it. Today we come to celebrate a life of Sheila. It's been explained by everyone for the magnetism of her smile. I didn't know her as I knew Sugu, but a lot of their economic activity was in Toronto Centre, so visiting storefronts, I came to know her also. Like Maria, I have lived through the circumstances of the loss of a loved one to Alzheimer and dementia. That gap, that missing connection, which is, in a certain sense, to force you to live over every day with that gut-wrenching disconnect, that sadness that you could hear come forward from Maria. But the one thing that I know is that it's common when a person passes who's been involved in so much suffering that we say the person has found peace and they're no longer suffering, and we find comfort in that. But the one thing that I know about trauma is trauma does not differentiate. For all of us that are here and remembering Sheila and reflecting on the impact of her life and on the loss, we cannot brush away the impact of the trauma by saying, well, we know that she is no longer suffering. Give respect to your trauma, because this loss is jarring. It's significant because of the character of the person and the depth of their love for all of us. So be kind to all of yourselves in reflecting on the circumstances of her passing. And I just want to say that for me to have an opportunity to reflect on these things after so many years of having left political life is the strongest and most enduring aspect of politics and of community, and the connection that's possible that reflects itself really in the love of family. So I thank you for the chance to be here with all of you and to commit to keeping the memories of Sheila in our heart and keeping close also our connection and our attention to those that have suffered so greatly in the passing. Natalie.
Good afternoon, friends and family of Sukumas, Sanjay, Ganesh and Sophie. I don't know what to say because everything I was planning to say has been told, but I just want to read a quotation. You can shed sheer tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived with us. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left with us. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love you have shared with her. We have no doubt whatsoever that she is in bliss, looking at all of us. Sheila came to Canada about 22 years ago. She was married. She was a qualified accountant practicing accountancy back in Sri Lanka. When she arrived in Canada, she had two choices: just to continue with her accountancy or being a good mother, a wife, or a daughter. She chose to do the second part, and of course she has been very, very successful in that. Every one of us who is born in this world, we come with certain purpose. Some of us fulfill the purpose just in few years, or some of us continue to carry on looking at this purpose forever. As far as Sheila is concerned, she has been a good mother. She brought up Sanjay and Sophie to a decent human beings to live in this world. She has brought them up to serve the community. She has made them to educate and live a decent life. Not only that, she has been a fantastic wife. Whatever Sukuma wanted to do, she did not wink an eye. She always supported Sukuma for whatever endeavor Sukuma took. Sukuma has been a fantastic community leader. He came to this country and he has contributed to this country and this community a lot. And Sheila has been part and parcel of that. If Sheila did not agree with Sukuma, then Sukuma couldn't have done whatever he has done, whatever he has achieved so far. she had been a good daughter, and also she herself has been a tremendous community supporter, and she has contributed a lot to this community, and it is a great achievement. With all these, the board must have thought that yes, whatever she has come to do, whatever she wanted to do in this birth, she has achieved. So God has taken her from all of us. But as far as we are concerned, we live with the sweet smile of Sheila, and we also live with the memories, whatever we have shared with Sheila as well as Sukuma and Sanjay and Sophie and Ganesh. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to say something here, but definitely Sheila will be looking at all of us with a sweet smile she always carried. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, friends. It's my honor to be here to witness completion of a extraordinary individual's life. Sugu and Sheila and me and Sophie know each other for more than 25, 26 years. Some wonder how can we become such dear friends? Because relatively speaking, whether it's the Chinese culture, Tamil culture, we're pretty reserved. We are more of close circle, if you will say. And I think it's easy to understand because we share a lot of common elements. Sheila's life embodies the Canadian dream. The family came as new immigrants. They went through all the struggles and challenges, established themselves, contribute to the community, and at the end was quite successful. And I think for a lot of immigrant families and individuals, we look up to those individuals that fought, they knew exactly what they want, and they achieved that in Canada. At the same time, through the friendship, we got to learn each other's culture, which is so special when you look at what's going on in the world right now. I know some of Sophie's best friends are Asian. And through Sugu, I got to know Kula, Dr. Savaji, a whole bunch of great friends. And that's what it's all about. It's individuals like Sheila that connects not just family and friends and neighbors, but between different cultures. We all have a lot to share. And another thing I want to talk about is loyalty. I remember in my first year of university, Sugu asked for a favor. He asked me to put together this portfolio for his company. And that was the first time I got to learn his past, his family, and his achievements. He's a very humble guy, but he was one of the very few recipients of Ontario, I think it was called the Excellent Immigrants Award. And that, the government gives out maybe 10 a year. So it's a very special award given to Sugmar, then was a newcomer. And I quickly realized that he couldn't have achieved that without the support of Sheila. I see a lot of Sheila in Sophie. Very reserved, soft-spoken, but yet a very strong-minded woman. And I see this respect and mutual loyalty between Sugu and Sheila. They respect each other, they take care of each other, and they deeply love with each other. And I say this because I know the past few years have been very difficult for the family. And Sue always saw the best for Sheila. I saw the effort there. I saw the pain. And I felt it as a brother. And this is something that inspired our lives, our family, me and Sophie. And I can tell you that most that we talk about after Sheila's passing is this, the purity, the cleanness of that relationship between a husband and wife. And they were committed to the vow they took to their wedding. I have a lot of admiration for that. Yes, we lost a dear friend, but I think she left a lot for us. Something that inspired us to go on as a better person. Thank you.
So much has been said about Sheila. No doubt, Sheila, as you can see, we're celebrating her life, has been an amazing individual that has not only been a special part of Sugu's life and the kids' life, but she has on her own been an amazing individual that has set a path for a lot of us to follow. Professionally, we know that she was an accountant, but she used her accounting knowledge and helped the community. And that's why I say she was not only an individual that we talk about today of her achievements, but she was a community builder, an actual word community builder that we can use for her, because she used her accounting knowledge to do free tax clinics for seniors. She was such a humble person that she used her influence and for raising funds for the hospital. She was a very charitable person. I think what she has left as her legacy for her family, for her friends, is something that is very difficult to follow. Because she was a very generous person, and she taught us all how to help the community. So I'd say to the kids, I think you are very lucky, and to Sugu, my friend, that you had such a wonderful life partner that actually made this whole unit into one, which was literally seamless. And that is something that we all look forward to. So I know that time is very short, and and I know that we have to keep it, even though I had lots to say, I brought some notes, I had a little poem, but I think I'm going to forego that. The only thing I'm going to say in closing, thank you for giving me this opportunity, because it's not very often that you can praise somebody who's not with you physically. But I know that she's here. I know she's with us. And I know the legacy she's set up for all of us is very difficult to follow, but we'll try. But for Sugu and the kids, I know they're going to miss her because of the influence she had on them. But my friend, just, this is how life is. We all have to go one day, and this is reality. So I'm glad where she is a better place for her because of the suffering, etc., that everybody has talked about. So I wish all the family all the best, and inshallah, as they say, she will be in a better place than where we are today. All the best.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். Ladies and gentlemen, we all gathered here to celebrate late Madam Sheila, who has been a wonderful wife, wonderful mother, and a good friend with all of us So I'm going to dedicate few lines in Tamil, which is also dedicated to a mother. At the beginning, the line says, "Oh, Mom, you are my soul, you are my body, you are everything." And in the middle of the lines, it says, "One single drop of a mother's tear could be able to melt an ocean." Those are the lines the poet saying about the mother, not only Sheila, also the mothers of all of us who had passed away, who live with us. உயிரும் நீயே, உடலும் நீயே, உறவும் நீயே, தாயே. உயிரும் நீயே, உடலும் நீயே, உறவும் நீயே, தாயே. தன் உடலில் சுமந்து உயிரை பகிர்ந்து உருவம் தருவாய் நீயே. தன் உடலில் சுமந்து உயிரை பகிர்ந்து உறவை தருவாய் நீயே. உன் கண்ணில் வழியும் ஒரு துளி போதும் கடலும் முழுகும் தாயே. உன் கண்ணில் வழியும் ஒரு துளி போதும் கடலும் முழுகும் தாயே. உன் காலடி பட்டா, உன் காலடி மட்டும் தருவாய் தாயே. சொர்க்கம் என்பது பொய்யே, உயிரும் நீயே, உடலும் நீயே, உறவும் நீயே, தாயே. விண்ணை படைத்தான், மண்ணை படைத்தான், காற்றும் மழையும் மொழியும் படைத்தான். விண்ணை படைத்தான், மண்ணை படைத்தான், காற்றும் மழையும் மொழியும் படைத்தான். பூமிக்கு அதனால் நிம்மதியில்லை, பூமிக்கு அதனால் நிம்மதியில்லை. சாமி தவித்தான், சாமி தவித்தான், தாயை படைத்தான். உயிரும் நீயே, உடலும் நீயே, உறவும் நீயே, தாயே. உயிரும் நீயே, உடலும் நீயே, உறவும் நீயே, தாயே. தன் உடலில் சுமந்து உயிரை பகிர்ந்து உருவம் தருவாய் தாயே. தன் உடலில் சுமந்து உயிரை பகிர்ந்து உருவம் தருவாய் தாயே. உன் கண்ணில் வழியும் ஒரு துளி போதும் கடலும் முருகும் தாயே. உன் கண்ணில் வழியும் ஒரு துளி போதும் கடலும் முருகும் தாயே. உன் காலடி மட்டும் தருவாய் தாயே. சொர்க்கம் என்பது பொய்யே.
what happens when you're short. Vanakkam, good afternoon. Thank you, Sukumar, and your family for inviting me to participate in this memorial service. So much has been said about Sheila that you wonder what it is that I can say. But I think the tribute to Sheila and you all gathered here today shows what a stalwart she was. She was the rock of Sukumar's family. She was actually Sukumar's rock. She was a professional, and everybody talked about her smile. I can concur with the priest when he said she was a spiritual person, that her smile was divine. And she was very committed to her faith, and that faith sustained her family, sustained her. And I know participating in the Chariot Festival, where the pots are really hot, and Sheila never gave up. And so when people talk about how pleasant, how very humble she was, I'll give you one example, and I'll bring a little levity in here. I had a cat called Simba, and his personality was like a Simba. And I left him at Subu's house. Now, Sheila had never looked after an animal, but because her personality was so gentle, so nice, so loving, the cat gave them no problems. Other people who kept my cat had lots of problems. So just to bring to light exactly what she was, how well she connected not only to people, but to animals as well. And that was the humane side of her. She was a loving person who was a devoted mother to Sophia and Sanjay. Sophia and Sanjay, you were very, very lucky to have a mother like that, who cared for you. And she was so unassuming. People didn't even know how sporty she was. She played badminton, she climbed up on ladders to decorate the Christmas tree. And all that she did was for her family. But she was also a dedicated Canadian who contributed a lot to civil society, as has been told by many people. She was a rock, I say, in Subu's life. She was his partner, his mentor, the brains behind Sukumar. Don't take it as an insult. It was really, she was the brains. And you succeeded because of her. She was silent but strong. She had the business acumen. And when Sheila got ill, and I think Maria and George have both explained that illness is devastating to not only to the person who was so intelligent, so committed, so special. Subu moved mountains. There was nothing, no stone unturned that Sugu did not commit himself to, and that was their love story. She was the love of his life, and for that we are here, gathered here, as Sugu celebrates the passing away of his love. But maybe she's gone physically, but she'll always be here in spirit, and her spirit will live on, because we all have been touched by her spirit. And with that, I thank you for being here, and I thank you for inviting me here. Vanakkam.
Thank you, Ms. Vatansi. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Directly, former MP of Scarborough East, to share a few words with us.
Thank you. Family and friends of Sheila, I'm only going to speak for the 2 minutes. Yes, I am a former politician, and yes, you're sitting in my former riding. I feel like I own the place. We're here to celebrate collectively Sheila's life with her family. Before getting up, I realized that our celebration is not one collective celebration. It is that, to be sure, but it is much more than that, because the memories of Sheila are actually multi-channel in the minds of each one of us who remember her in our own way. How she spoke, what she thought, what she might like, the entertainment she liked, the food she liked, her little sayings, how she expressed herself, the love she gave as a mother and a spouse. And all of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of memories are present with us in the room today and beyond. And it is that perspective of a very loving woman who has passed on. It is that perspective I commend to you today. Thank you.
I'm between you and lunch, so it'll be very few words. Suku, Sophie, and Sanjay, today we remember your mother, your wife, but also to say thank you. She has contributed much to our community, but also to her profession, to most importantly to her family. So Sophie, you and I go back many moons. I see the strength of your mother, the resiliency, but most importantly, your contribution to your profession. And Sanjay, I also recognize your contribution to our community. Your parents, but also your mother is what we're doing today to celebrate. And Suku, last but not least, thank you for sharing Sheila with us, because like everybody said, she is your rock. In our culture, and as my good friend Huan Dong also talked about, I'm Buddhist. Much of Buddhism is in Hinduism, and we believe in next life. So I know she's here with all of us, and I also want to say thank you. Thank you for being a Canadian, but also thank you for sharing her with all of us, so thank you.
எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். முக்கியமாக ஷீலா அவர்களுடைய குடும்பத்தினருக்கு வணக்கம். பொதுவாக நண்பர் சுவாஜி அவர்கள் சொன்னது போல சிரிப்பையும் கொண்டாடலாம், துக்கத்தையும் கொண்டாடலாம். ரெண்டுக்கும் பெரிய வித்தியாசம் இல்லை. துக்கத்தை கொண்டாடுவது கூட ஒரு விதமான மகிழ்வு என்று நான் நினைக்கிறேன். துக்கத்தை பெரும்பாலும் எல்லோருமே மிக பெரிதாக கொண்டாட மாட்டார்கள். ஆனால் துக்கத்திலும் ஒரு விதமான இன்பம் இருக்கிறது என்பதை இந்த விழா நமக்கு சொல்கிறது. பிரிவுகள் துன்பமானவை, துயரமானவை என்று அறிவுக்கு தெரிந்திருந்தாலும் மனம் அதை ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளாது என்பதை எல்லோருக்குமே புரிந்திருக்கிறது. திருமதி ஷீலா அவர்கள் ஏறக்குறைய 4 நூற்றாண்டுக்கு மேலாக எனக்கு நன்கு அறிமுகமானவர். அவர்கள் படித்த நிறைய விஷயங்களை எல்லோருமே பேசியிருக்கார்கள். 2 நிமிடம் தான் தந்திருக்கிறார்கள். ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயத்தை பதிவு செய்ய விரும்புகிறேன். ஒரு பெரிய வர்த்தக பிரமுகருடைய மனைவியாக இருந்து கொண்டு நிறைய செல்வத்தில் இருந்தாலும் வெரி சிம்பிள், அதாவது மிக மிக எளிமையாக வாழ்ந்த ஒருவர். எந்த விதமான ஆடம்பரமும் இல்லாமல் மிக அமைதியாக, இவ்வளவு பெரிய சொத்து சுகம் புகழ் எல்லாம் இருந்தாலும் கூட எந்த ஆலயத்தில் பார்த்தாலும் அல்லது எந்த ஒரு வைபவத்தில் பார்த்தாலும், வீட்டில் பார்த்தாலும் அல்லது தொழில் புரியும் இடத்தில் பார்த்தாலும் அல்லது ஒரு பெரிய கொண்டாட்டங்களில் பார்த்தாலும் அவர்களுக்கு ஒரு மிக எளிமையான ஒரு பெண் இருக்கிறார், ஆடம்பரம் இல்லாமல் இருக்கிறார் என்றால் திருமதி ஷீலாவாக இருப்பார் என்று நினைக்கிறேன். அவருடைய ஆன்மா சாந்தியம். இப்படியான ஒருவருக்கு மனைவியாக வாழ்ந்ததே சரியான கஷ்டம். சுமார் ஒருவருக்கு மனைவியாக இருந்ததே சரியான கஷ்டம். அதுக்கு நீங்கள் கைதட்டலாம். ஏனென்றால் அவர் ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டியோடு சம்பந்தப்பட்டவர், 24 மணிக்கு ஆனாலும் வெளியில் இருக்கிறவர், நிறைய கூட்டங்கள், நிறைய பொது சேவை வியாபாரம் என்று ஓடி திரிகிற ஒருவருக்கு மனைவியாக இருக்கிறது சரியான கஷ்டம். அப்படி இருந்தும் அதை காட்டிக்கொள்ளாமல் வாழ்ந்து தன்னுடைய பயணத்தை நிறைவு செய்தவர். அவருடைய ஆன்மா சாந்தி அடையும். மிக்க நன்றி. என்னை அழைத்ததுக்கு நன்றி. 2 நிமிடம் தந்திருக்கிறார்கள் நண்பர்கள் அவர்கள். மிக்க நன்றி. வணக்கம். ஓம் சாந்தி.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As part of the family, we really do appreciate your support in these difficult times. A lot has been said this afternoon about the wonderful person that my aunt, Sheila, auntie, I call her Berima. A lot has been said about the person she was, and the one thing I've learned is the only time that you repeat something over and over again is when you're trying to fill the word count on your exams. So I'd like to leave you with some wonderful memories that I like to hold near and dear to my heart. For me, the one big thing about Berima, about Sheila auntie, was that she was always there for her family and for us as her nephews and nieces. One of my favorite and my mom's favorite memories was that any time we would come over, the first thing she would do is say hello and then go see what she had in the freezer. As you can tell, she was pretty successful at that. She always made sure that we were well fed and we were happy. Whenever we went to go see Sanjay and Sophie and Berima and Berima, you know, being the boys we would play a lot of video games. And we knew that whenever Berima said, you need to stop playing video games, that was there was no negotiation. It was, okay, we're done, we're going home, we're eating dinner, this is what it is. And the one thing that everyone touched on prior was the fact that although she was someone of very few words, she was an individual of very big actions. She didn't need to say much to let you know how she felt or what her opinion was on something. She loved the simple things in life. She loved, once again, being with family. She was an avid Harry Potter fan, for those of you that don't know. I remember Sophie telling me that Berima was the one that dragged her to a lot of the Harry Potter movies, and she was the one who made sure that all the books were read. I also remember vividly the little gossip circle between my mom, Berima, and then Chidaba. Whenever a new Tamil movie would come out, it was like they were dealing poker cards. It was great. Oh, you need to watch this movie. No, this one's better. And then just that sense of family, that sense of community was something that has always stuck by us as her nephews and nieces. The one thing that I hope to leave you with today is, number one, thank you for attending and for showing your support for our family, for Sukubayaba, Sophie, Sanjay, and our extended family. But also take this opportunity to reflect on the incredible person that Berima was, and also use this opportunity to move forward with her heart in your mind, making big actions and being someone who would be able to control a room with very few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kulana, for your kind words and moved by your words. I know we're running 10-15 minutes behind the schedule, and thank you for waiting all this time. And I'm not going to take too long. And it is an honor to stand in front of you and share my precious moments about Sheila Akka. Though I call her Akka, but she's a motherly figure to me. As many of you are aware that Sheila Akka and I had a very close relationship. As soon as I moved into their family in 2013, she welcomed me with open heart and open arms. So I felt very welcomed. I didn't have any hesitation staying with them, and I have to thank Mr. Sukumar, Sanjay and Sophia. They still treat me as a family, not as a third person. And Sheila and I ended up bonding for food and singing songs each day to work. We traveled. Earlier we were living in Richmond Hill, and all the way we had to come to North York for work. And it was a half an hour to 20 minutes of drive. All those 20 minutes, the songs we played She used to sing loud. Unfortunately, we didn't have TikTok those days. If not, Sheila and I would have been TikTok celebrities by now. She's a simple person, as you all know, but she always carried a smile, beautiful smile as her theme. The simplicity that came to her is because of the way she was brought up. She was daughter of a single mom, and she's the only daughter of the family who took care of her mom and herself until they got married to Suguna. Suguna just not married Sheila, because he even takes care of Sheilaka's mom, his mother-in-law. She's in very safe hands. He took total privilege of taking care of the whole family, and I think Sheilaka will be forever grateful for that. She overcame everything that was meant to destroy her. She had a very balanced life. After I moved into the family, earlier when she was on a regular routine, this is what I saw her. Early in the morning, she gets up around 5:36. She set up her own gym in the basement, and she go work out for 45 minutes to 1 hour, and that is the 45 minutes she would spend for herself. And after that, throughout the day, she makes sure she's there for the family. And even I was part of the family, she did not let me do any work. I actually moved into the family to take care of her. And Mr. Sugumar and Sheilaka, they started taking care of me. As soon as Sanjay and Sophia left to school, I was with them taking care of Sheilaka, and they treated me as equally as Sanjay and Sophia. I can't thank enough for that, or my words can't justify what she did to me, and it's very motivational. She was a very funny lady. As you all know, she's very simple, but she makes fun of each and every one. So I wanted to share a small story, and the story might not be very pleasant. It might smell a little unpleasant. We were traveling to India for a treatment, and we were in the flight. That time she was from stage 1 to stage 2, so she can know what she's doing, but she needs someone beside her. So we are sitting in the flight, and just got off, and the flight just took off, right? So we just above the Toronto, and you know how humid it is. So one of the Indian uncle was sitting just in front of us. He stood up, and I think he stood up for the washroom, and the air hostess didn't let him to go use the washroom. So he just turned himself, and I think that person had a big party before he boarded the flight. So, you know, when someone wants to use the washroom urgently and he's denied using it, so he just left a big fart. So it was, I think that party he had, we could easily smell that he had a lot of garlic, dal, potatoes and whatever. The whole bunch of people who had the essence started closing their nose. But Sheilaka thought that the old man was getting offended. The one thing she did was clap and started laughing loud. So whole of the group who had felt the essence started laughing. And even the old uncle didn't know that why all these people were clapping and laughing. Even he joined along with us for the same. And that's how she, even any negative situation, she makes it positive, and she makes sure that everyone around her is happy. And as you all know, we had these unpleasant, happy memories to share with, but throughout the close family, we underwent the pain of seeing her decline. As you all know, she was diagnosed with dementia. So her health declined stage by stage. First stage, she lost the senses of driving, and stage 2, she didn't know what to do. Stage 2 was she needed someone 24/7 to be with her. She'll just stand, whatever we tell, she does it. She can't do anything by herself, but whatever we tell, she do it. She didn't give any trouble to the family or anyone. In stage 1, We all, including doctors, the whole family, they all were very shocked that the time she was diagnosed with dementia, she was about 56. Whole doctors community got confused. This is a very early stage, and she's the first young person to get diagnosed with this. And maybe I think she was working 24/7. Early in the morning, after she goes to work, she comes back home. She takes care of the family. And they had their mom living along with them, so she has to spend time with the family. She has to spend time with Sophia, Sanjay, her mom, and later then Mr. Sugumar comes late. She has to feed Mr. Sugumar, and after everybody goes to bed, and she don't go to bed. She had an office next to a gym. She again go work overnight, and maybe because of that reason, she kept active of her whole self. And that's the only reason that could have damaged the brain. And thinking about it, I realized that I shouldn't use mine more. And if you see a picture in this book, there's this picture, and many pictures Sheila with sari. So if you see her beautiful, or if you think that she's dressed well, the only reason for that is Mr. Sugumar. The truth is, he can drape saris, he can do the hairdressing, because for past 10 years, as soon as she got diagnosed from stage 1 to stage 2, she was not able to take care of herself. So each and every day, Mr. Sugumar, early in the morning, he makes breakfast for her. As soon as she finished the breakfast, he takes to the washroom, stand with her, makes all the washroom duties. It might seem easy for me to say, but taking care of those needs to an adult person, that to a patient who's taking a lot of medications, it's not an easy process. So without any hesitations, for 10 years, he took care of her so much. It was so lovely to see them. I think if not Sheila, nobody else he would have done that for her. He's Mr. Sugumar. I have no words to describe the love he had for Sheila. I think they had a very intimate relationship. Sheila called Mr. Sugumar as Appa, which means daddy. You can take it in any senses if you want. They were so romantic that way. And the stage 2 was very painful to see. He flew her all around the world. First he took to Australia. Mr. Sukumar's younger sister is in Australia. She consulted her doctor. So first they flew there, and then her cousins wanted to go to Singapore for treatment. Then they went to Singapore. Then later a few friends insisted that they should go to India to take the Ayurvedic medications. So they spent about 5 to 6 months spending Ayurvedic medications, which didn't work. And later she was flown back to Canada. He tried each and everything possible. And he even flew few doctors from London and doctors around here. There's a hospital, people sitting here. They took so much care of her. Even her last days, thank you very kindly for taking it. It's words can just say thank you, but the family is so much more thankful for the days you took care of her so well. I think the last few days she didn't have any pain, and she's the only person I know in throughout the Corona time who didn't wear any mask because she was isolated from 2020. So seeing Sheila go away from us was a very painful process for us and the whole family. And I thought I should stay with Mr. Sugumar for 31 days so he wouldn't feel all alone. I thought he would miss the presence of Sheila, but each and every one of you in this room made sure you called him and you made the family warm. I think not even a single day except the day he was crying. All other time you all took care of him so much. I'm really thankful, and you all made me you all made me feel very useless for the past 31 days. I miss her so much, and I will miss her incredible presence, and I feel very honored to be part of the family. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Mr. Sukumar and approached to him to say, have a meeting with the health minister, Mr. George Simithaman, Honorable George Simithaman, who is with us too today. And then Sukumar immediately arranged a meeting with the minister and the doctors and community leaders, and the closure was started. That's when Sukumar started to connect with his hospital system, not only Scarborough Hospital, at the time it was Centenary, it was Rouge Valley, Scarborough, and then Stouffville. There were 3 hospitals, and he was starting to work with all 3 hospitals. He understood how the hospital functioned in Ontario. Until today, not only the family has donated more than $500,000 to this hospital system, but also they have helped to raise funds for many hospitals, especially for Rouge Valley Health System and Markham Stouffville Hospital at the beginning. When I was a director, board member at the Rouge Valley Health System, we were thinking about rebuilding the family birthing center. Birthing center was way outdated at the time, especially it was over 40 years old, and Sheila had her both children at the Centenary Hospital. So when I approached Mr. Sukumar, he said, yes, I'll help you, and then Sheila was behind him because he understood the need for a new hospital birthing center at that place. So Sheila took her 2 children and drive to every single Tamil shop, road by road, Eglinton Avenue, Lawrence Avenue, Ellesmere, and Shepherd, every road, major roads, she went there with the children and collected. And finally, also the children, they broke their piggy banks, which they were collecting for their lifetime. And that was $33,000 from the 2 children, and then they raised other money up to $50,000, just the mother and 2 children. They brought it to the hospital in Dolly because it was too heavy for those coins. It was unbelievable. And then 2 children were recognized by the Canadian Philanthropy Council for what they have done. I know Gord Martin for City TV media personnel who was hosting that event said Mr. Lappert, John Lappert I believe, was there. The Lappert family was giving $2 or $3 million to the hospital, 611 hospital, but he said more than anyone, these are the 2 kids didn't have any benefit giving their money because others at least they had some tax receipts. These 2 kids just didn't think about their money is going something else. They didn't have any benefit, but they just donated. On that approach, Sheila had a vision. Sheila was thinking about us. When she found out that she was identified with this disease, she called the family and said, I want to give my savings, some part of the saving, to some hospitals. So she asked the family to give 5 million Sri Lankan rupees to Jaffna Teaching Hospital and $50,000 to Scarborough Health Network. That was unbelievable. When somebody, like if I get sick, I'll be thinking about my family and more about myself. How do I overcome this illness? But she didn't worry about herself. She said, no, if anything happened to me, I know it's going to happen, but please give this money to the hospital. I know it is a family function, it is a lunch on tribute to Sheila, but it is time to talk about what she was visioned about. She was visioning to give money, and then she just asked them to give the $50,000. So I know I'm going to get scolded by Sukumar for this, what I'm saying to you guys, but I thought this vision is selfless. So I called a few of my friends and I asked them, hey, can we do something to her vision? So with the $50,000, few of our friends able to put money, and we were able to raise another just over $20,000, adding to that $50,000. I want to thank all my friends who contributed to that. And if you want to contribute, the foundation is here. Mr. Stan Muthalingam, the board member there, you can contact anybody and you can contribute to this hospital. They have a Love Scarborough campaign going on. which is to update, upgrade our hospital. Our hospital is the third largest serving hospital in Ontario, but we are behind when it comes to equipment and everything. So please don't take me wrong because I'm bringing the hospital thing now. I think it is a vision of somebody that we are attributing to, and we should continue with that vision. Now I would like to invite Sanjay Sugumar and Sophia Sugumar to the stage to hand over the check to the foundation president, Ms. Alicia Vandermeer, and the hospital president and CEO, Ms. Elizabeth Buller. Please come forward. Thank you, and I would like to invite the President and CEO of Hospital, Ms. Elizabeth Buller, to say a few words.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It is a privilege to be here today to celebrate the life of Sheila Sugumar. Together, we remember her legacy, we mourn her family and with her family and friends, and we honor her incomparable spirit that we've heard so much of already today. As mentioned, I'm Elizabeth Buller. I'm the President and CEO of the Scarborough Health Network, and with me is Alicia Vandermeer, the President and CEO of the Scarborough Health Network Foundation. And together, it is our privilege to extend the heartfelt support of our foundation and our hospital community. Winston Churchill had said, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." And if that is true, then Sheila made a great life. The stories we've heard today of her kindness and generosity are alive in this room, and judging by the faces before me, are flourishing in each and every one of you. Those who have been fortunate enough to know Sheila have lost a very dear friend and an inspiring champion for Scarborough. I today am struck by the stories of Sheila's incredible grace with which she navigated her work, her friendships, her family and community service. From Deliwala, Sri Lanka to Scarborough, Ontario, Sheila's journey embodies the spirit, tenacity and inclusivity that has become the proud rallying cry of all of Scarborough residents. Sheila leaves behind a community that only she could have gathered, and her spirit will forever be part of the foundation of the Scarborough Health Network. I mean this without hyperbole. Over many years, Sheila and her husband Sugumar have created and contributed to many fundraising campaigns in support of our hospitals through the Scarborough Health Network Foundation. Sheila's faithful support to our Birchmount and Centenary hospitals in particular will not be forgotten. No words can adequately express our sadness at Sheila's passing or our gratitude for the opportunity to share in her light and her life. To her family, thank you for sharing her wonderful spirit with us. To her friends, thank you for fulfilling a beautiful life well lived. We will continue to care for you just as Sheila cared for us.
Thank you, Ms. Buller. I really appreciate that. You can take your seat, please. I would like to invite Sophia Sugumar to deliver the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of Parliament, family and friends. On behalf of my family, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for being here today at this memorial ceremony for my mother. Each one of you here who is present today has touched my mom's life, or the lives of our family members. So your presence means a great deal to me and to my family. Every step of this process has been a journey. The time my mother was diagnosed with early onset dementia and the challenging years that followed, to the announcement of her passing, and to the planning of these funeral ceremonies. At each and every one of these moments, we have been comforted and strengthened by your love and support. We are overwhelmed by filled with gratitude for the messages that we received, the beautiful flowers, the gifts, the food sent, the visitations, and above all of your beautiful testimonies here today. You've shielded each and every one of us from the pain that we have felt in these last few days, and we appreciate the love and support that you have shown. My mother was a truly remarkable woman, as you have heard from many of the testimonies today. She was only 62 years old when she passed, and it was hard to say goodbye. We wish that so much of her life had not been lost to this terrible illness, and that things could have been different for her and for us. While we know that she is at peace and that her struggles are at an end, there is still pain and sadness. And as Ganesh mentioned, I truly appreciate every single one of you who has reached out to my father in these last few days. But even though she is gone, she's left the legacy of her unconditional love, her gentleness, her quiet strength, and her perseverance. And the way she touched our lives will remain. My mother is survived by her mother Pushpavati, my dad Sukumar, my brother Sanjay, and myself. The most important thing to her was her family. She devoted everything she had to being a daughter, a wife, and a mother. And in closing, I would like to acknowledge every single one of you here who supported us through these last years. Ganesh, I must begin with you. The day you arrived into our family, we gained a new sibling. You took care of my mother as though you were her own child, and the bond that you two shared cannot be overstated. Roja auntie, to you, we must truly be grateful because you were one of the greatest pillars of strength that we had over these last few years. Not only did you insist on taking care of my mother, but you did so while also taking care of your own husband who had his own fight with cancer. We must both bravely thank you and your son Gajan, who at some point over these last years have taken on a caretaking role. To my uncle Chitapa, there were so many instances where I had driven to the store to drop off my mother and you took care of her while also going to work. And so many instances where you couldn't even go to the washroom because you had to monitor the store while also trying to take care of her. To Kuluncle and Sanju auntie, it is very hard to imagine better friends that could have existed. There are no words to explain how much help we have received from you over these last 2 years, especially in the last few days since her passing. Dr. Bari, Dr. Savaji, and the staff of the Scarborough Hospital Network and Fieldstone's Common Care community, thank you for the care and compassion you have extended to my mother, especially in these last few days of her passing. To the priests from the Dukkha and Ganesh Temple, thank you for your prayers and spiritual comfort. To all of the elected officials here today, both current and past, thank you for your support. So many of you are dear, dear friends of this family. To Muja and Hilla, the days since my mother's passing have been incredibly difficult, and most of the planning that has been done through you. And lastly, to all of the individuals who have provided any beautiful testimony, either in the book or orally to you today, we must thank you. As well, the management and staff of the Scarborough Convention Center, thank you for your assistance and cooperation in hosting this afternoon's event. To honor my mother's memory, you may, if you would like, make a donation to the Scarborough Hospital's Love Scarborough fundraising campaign, or the SAAC Autism Center. The details for both charities are available in the memorial books at your table. My mother is at peace now, so it is our turn to go and live our lives to the fullest and keep her legacy alive. Thank you very much for sharing this special day with us.